And we continue learning Dirshu Mishnah Baruch Hashem, making headway, slowly catching up over here. Siman Kof Non Tas Sivav. Again, the one word of Hakdama that we do give, and maybe we should have given in the previous shurim, that some of these cases are a bit intricate, but what we're going to gain eventually is with all the Yisaidas, then we'll be able to put it together and we'll be able to apply it to contemporary cases. So it says that the Mechaber and Sivav lo yitin mayim lechaveiroi bechafnav. You cannot give water to your friends in your fists. Sheinolim elam minakli. Could only wash your hands minakli. And this is a very, every halach is important, but this, as we keep on seeing the critical importance of a kli. I can't take my hands full with water and pour it on your hands. Why not? I can fill up my hands with the revius, I can pour it on your hands. Seemingly you should have all of the milas. The problem is, there's a fundamental issue that we keep on seeing, is that Netilas Yadaim, again, Netilas Yadaim for a Suda, requires a kli. You wash one hand, it also doesn't work. The original pouring was from a kli. If your first hand is tar, then Rabbeinu Tam says, if you pour from a kli to your hand, then you can pour onto the other hand. Says the Rambam, we want it to be straight from a kli, but there is this makam kula of Rabbeinu Tam. Says the Mishnah Berurah, maybe you would think that the whole issue here is it's coming from your hands which are not tahar. Says Mishnah Berurah, no. Even if your hands are tahar, you still cannot use them to pour on someone else's hands. After you finish washing your hands, whatever's left, you put into your other hand. So it went from the cup onto the hand, onto the other hand. So it doesn't come straight from the kli. You hold your hands one on top of the other, so pour straight from one onto the other. That will work. The netila achasem, because that's called one netila. If it's poured l'shem netila, him atan nitzma b'nigasam b'yadav. They themselves are tamei when they touch your hands. And therefore, im yishvach miyad achas al yadai hashniya leitara asai. The water is tamei, so of course it's not going to work. So if your first hand is tar, and it goes onto the first hand from a kli, then to the second hand, then the water is not tamei. Then you just have the issue that it's not going directly from a kli. But on this, Rabbeinu Tam is mekos. If katalam bebeis tahir, kazu achrayim, tal kol panim lo yiter Rabbeinu Tam elorak lishoch miyad zu lechaverta. Not to rub and touch, even though the first hand is tahara, it's going to come tamei from the other hand. So it's only going to work to pour from one hand to the next. Whenever you use revius at one time, it makes it tar. And that's the lumdis, as we're going to see later on, that when you use a revius, it has the status of a mikvah. Meaning, normally when I pour water on the hand, my hand is tamei, the water becomes tamei. But if it's a full revius that goes on my hands, then it's as if I dunked my hands in the mikvah, which is when I take them out, they are fully tar, even the water on it. So if you pour with a revius, it has the status of a mikvah metaheres, shigam ha'mayim tahirim meim, kilamam sivim kuf samach beis. L'chein, yach leshach memayim elu gufam. You can pour from these waters, and it's kavis the Tech says Yadai, the water that is in your hand onto the other hand, al yad hashniya. Miu. However, Zedavkum shafach ravias al yadai karoi. Dainu kidinitila al kol yan mi b'fnei b'achotz. The first, you took the cup, you poured fully onto your hand, then you catch the water and you pour it over. Please says, yeah, let's say you just poured it into your palm, then the hand itself is not tar because your whole hand did not touch the water, and therefore, if part of your hand is tamei, the water is going to be tamei, and it will not work. So and he shari postim the like Rabbeinu Tam lechatchila sevkot lamerei v'rashal echmer af b'diavad v'rashal zmach even b'diavad gan das Rambahu davka b'shas atchak avos b'anenu al excuse me avos b'nizdamnu loy mayim nitel shenes ubeli bracha. We see what level of shas atchak it is that you really should do it again when you get water. You should wash your hands again. Beli bracha. So Dirshu over here, note number 38. Which discusses the case when you put two hands one on top of the other, that it could work. And it's comment, and it quotes from Siman Kuf Samach Beis, two people that want to wash their hands from one shvicha, lechatchila, you have to have the shir ravi is the chol yad v'yad, so you have to use a lot of water, and therefore, you won't have to be careful, if it's less than ravias. Again, this halacha that we're going to see over there, and this is one of those shticks potentially that could work, that if you don't have a lot of water and you have a bunch of people, they all could hold their hands one on top of another, you pour one shvicha over all of them, the water flows down in one time, and then that could work. And Shas Adchak, we're going to see in Kosam Achbeis, if Kotan Aleph, that you might not need a revius each and every one, El Shamayim Maspikim, to go into all their hands, and that's going to be the Eitzah. Let's say you have 1 cup of water, which is, 2-3 reviuses, but you have 5 people need to wash your hands. They all can take their hands and put them together, not touching each other so as not to become tamei. Pour one large time over all of them. The water flows through all of them. One shvicha, and we'll see in Kosam Achbeis, Sivkat and Aleph, that would work. Lechatchila, you want to have a revius, though, for each and every hand. And we conclude with Dirshu number 39, in which he says that lechatchila, when you get more water, you should wash a second times. And Haga Taiva, in such a scenario, the Bir Allah is going to teach us, anytime you wash your hands, when there's a daya that holds your nayoytze, you should be mitami your hands first in order to be machayiv in tila, then you can make a bracha. And this is a yisai that we're going to see many times, that anytime you're not sure what to do. For example, we saw the other day that if you spoke between the washing and your drying of your hands, and we said we have a machlekes of Yashiv, Shevet Alevi, if you poured with a revius, what are you supposed to do? So, okay, maybe one would be mekel, just to make the bracha. But what would be the eitzah, which I believe the Piskei Teshuvos brings down? The eitzah would be, dry your hands, make your hands tamei, by touching a covered, a sweaty part of the body. Now you have a new chiyuv netila, then you'd be able to wash your hands even with a bracha, get out of all sfeikus. And b'siyata d'shmaya, we'll pick it up from Sif Zayin in the next shiur.